Okay, we are now joined by head coach Ryan Day and his student athletes Caleb Downs and Julian Sayin. Coach Day, we will ask you for an opening statement before we go to questions from the floor.
Yeah, we'll just take questions. Thanks.
Okay. Questions for our student athletes first, and then we will come back for Coach in just a bit. I think we have a question here on the right side on the front.
Tim May, FanStream Sports. Caleb, how frustrating was it there in those final moments not to get that stop? Y'all were #1 defense in the country, et cetera, and just how frustrating was it?
Yeah, it was frustrating. We didn't get the stop that we needed to have, and that just lost us a game, yeah. You already said it.
You remember one key play from that sticks out?
They got a long run the first play, and then we didn't get a stop on third down.
Okay, we'll say on the front row here on the right.
Hey, Julian, Dylan Davis, Stillwater Gazette. After not getting much going in the first half, you guys found some rhythm offensively in the second half. What switched there in the second half? And I guess for you specifically, how do you think you handled it, like from a poise standpoint, the first half? And that?
Yeah, just started executing better in the second half, but ultimately, wasn't good enough. Didn't put up enough points, and it starts with me, and we got to be better on offense as an execution standpoint. It starts with me, so we got to be better and put up more points than 14.
Okay, question here on the left on the aisle. We'll get the mic to you just a second.
Doug Lamorese, the Bill and Doug Show for Julian. As you guys prepared for this game, what did you think of Miami's pass rush, and then how difficult was it for you to try to handle that tonight?
Yeah, they have two really good edge rushers. So we knew we were gonna get the ball out of our hand quick, and there was times today where I held on to the football, and they were able to get after me and get some sacks.
Next question, I think, is here on the front.
Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros Magazine. Julian, talking about the pocket and everything and maybe opportunities to run and go and do that, what are your thoughts about that coming into this game, and do you feel like you missed any opportunities to do that?
Yeah, I think there were some opportunities today where I could have maybe taken off and scrambled for some yards and took some sacks that weren't necessary and got us into tougher situations.
Here on the left side aisle.
For Caleb, you guys were the #1 team in the country, trying to repeat as national champions. To lose your last two games, just what kind of opportunity do you feel like was lost here this season?
At the end of the day, we didn't execute the way that we needed to win the game, and that's what it is. And we can't change it now. So go from here.
Let's bring Coach into the mix now. So for Coach or any of the two student athletes, I think we have a question over here on the right front.
Bill Rabinowitz, Substack. Ryan, you were off for 25 days. I remember last year you talking about how the team that played got momentum and the team that had the bye, had to kind of create it. How big a factor do you think that was? Because the first half didn't look like Ohio State football.
Well, I felt like it took us a while to get into the rhythm of the game. I thought we did coming out of the second half, and by then, it was going to take a very, very efficient second half to win the game, being down 14-0. But I felt like at that point we got into a rhythm, and when we had that drive there where we took a shot, it was incomplete, and the next play was a hold that got us way behind the chains, and that was the drive that we needed to go win the game. And when you have a start the way that we did, you put yourself at risk of having to be really, darn near perfect in the second half to go win a game. So we put ourselves behind the 8 ball. We worked really hard during the last 3 weeks leading up to this game to come out of the gates and win the first quarter, win the first half, be ready to go. I thought we had an excellent plan on that and what we did. I think the guys bought into it, but at the end of the day, we didn't get it done. And that starts with me, and it goes down from there. So, I take responsibility for not getting the guys ready, as you know, we spent an inordinate amount of time putting the plan together to get everybody ready to go play in that first half, and we didn't win the first half. So, we got to figure out why that was and learn from it moving forward.
Okay, on the left. front row.
Yeah, Ryan, you just talked about the offensive game plan and the plan that you guys put into place. How much does the plan that didn't work in the first half now affect the way that you have to move forward with shaping what you need to do with this offensive staff and with what you guys need to do to get better there?
Yeah, well, just fresh off the game, so got to evaluate it all. But early on, I felt like we had a hard time. Gabe was struggling a little bit early on with his first big spot there, and we were scrambling a little bit. We lost Austin, and they have an excellent front. I thought the guys battled and got back into a rhythm, but I thought we had a good plan going in on how to get the ball out of our hands quick, but that obviously didn't work. We took 5 sacks, and so we got to get back to it and figure out where we're going to go moving forward. But we got to sit down and evaluate all of it.
Now on coach's right, front row.
Ryan, I guess to Stefan Kreischer, Cleveland.com, I guess to follow up on that, do you have updates on Lorenzo and Austin? And then with the offensive line situation, I know shuffling and rotating, it worked for you guys last year, but how difficult was it, this past month or so with trying to figure out the right side and then today, kind of having to move around again?
Well, as you know, we were in this spot last year when we lost Seth and we lost, Simmons, and so this is part of playing this time of year. You got to have depth and you got to perform in those moments. That's the bottom line, and it's our job as coaches to get them ready and to do what they can. Lorenzo had a shoulder there, and Austin had a leg contusion, and he was in tears because he wasn't able to go back in the game. And I think the decision was made that we were going to put him back into the game when he was struggling at that point. But he would have done anything he could to get back in the game to play in this thing. He cares about his teammates and wanted to finish. So we got obviously got a team of guys that have poured a lot into this program, and some guys, this will be their last game as Buckeyes, and so it's going to hurt and sting, and so I wanted to make sure that they still know how much we appreciate everything they do and everything they've done for this program. But it hurts right now, and it hurts for those guys, and so they put a lot of work and time into this thing. So it's our job as coaches to make sure that we figure out ways to put them in a situation to be successful. So at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to do that, and we got to take a hard look at that and figure out what it is that we got to get done to get better.
With Lorenzo, is it the same? Has that been an nagging thing for him this season?
He's been dealing with a shoulder all season.
Don't do a follow because our stenographers need to hear that question. Next one be on the left.
Austin Ward, 97.1 The Fan. Ryan, when it was like at the end of October, maybe early November, you talked about pushing the gas pedal when that time came. I know that that's maybe making too much of one comment. Was there something about the way that this offense was constructed that didn't allow you to do that the way you might have envisioned?
No, I don't think so. I think you saw us play with a little bit of tempo today, but when you're not getting first downs early on, you got to make sure you're getting into the right plays and doing what you need to do to get first downs. And I think that some of that stuff did give us a little bit of juice in the second half when we needed to. I thought that gave us an advantage at times in the game, but it wasn't done near good enough. So all things that we'll make sure we look at.
Second row, left side.
Yeah, Jake Trotter, ESPN. Ryan, you guys gave up 6 sacks during the regular season, 10 combined in the Big Ten championship, and then tonight. What happened with the pass protection? Because it clearly impacted the offense.
Yeah, it's hard to just say one thing. We tried to help out. I mean, they have a very good front, and we felt like it was a little bit of a different scheme than what we dealt with the week before against Indiana. Indiana was a lot of pressure, a lot of movement, a lot of twisting and things. This was a bigger group of guys who are hard charging, front. So we went in with a certain plan, and you can tell right from that first third down that we had a hard time, and being on silent, we didn't quite get off the ball on that one, and that caused the first sack, and kind of went from there. But I do think there was a point where we got it under control, and we were moving the ball pretty good, and but and certainly the play that Scott made there on the pick six was a huge part of the game. He triggered and hit that thing, and we didn't quite execute it right in terms of what was going on in the perimeter. I think Julian's decision to throw it, was the right thing to do at the time. But, he made a heck of a play, and that early in the game certainly flipped the scoreboard fast and put us in a hole. And, and then, at that point, you got to fight yourself out of it, and we weren't able to do that. So, we wanted to be aggressive. We felt like we did have an advantage downfield in the passing game. And so that was the give and take of it was, we wanted, I think, Jeremiah ended up with 157 downfield. We felt like we could do that, and we were going to be aggressive, but we also knew the give and take of it. And so that was part of, what we were working through. And at the end of the day, it didn't work.
Let's move back to the right side.
Yeah, Julian, on that pick six, what did you kind of see as the play developed? As it came out of your hand, did you see the guy? You understand what I'm asking there. When did you realize, uh-oh?
Yeah, after it came out of my hand, I saw him make the play. It was a great play by him. And so, obviously can't have that in that situation.
We'll stay on the right.
Ryan, Cameron Teague with The Athletic. Obviously, you shifted some things around for play calling and the way the coaching thing was set up. Obviously, a slow start in the first half. Did you feel like the coaching staff was in a groove, or did you feel like there was some stuff that you guys had to iron out in that first half that led to some of the slow starts?
I mean, I got to look at it all and figure out what that was and what that is, because it's not good enough. So look at it all, and we got to do better. We got to do better. So that's the bottom line. And whatever it takes to get better, we'll do.
Extreme left side, front row.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Despite the loss, just we can say about Caleb and Julian, what they did to try to create, especially in the second half after the first half didn't go the way you wanted it to go.
Say it one more time.
What your takeaways were from the positive plays that Julian and Caleb had, just what they did to try and give you a chance in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, first off, what Caleb Downs has done for Ohio State and does every day, most of it you see is on the field, but what I see is off the field. He's a special young man who has done a lot for this program, and, I'll forever be in debt for what he's done for us, not only his play, but what he stands for off the field, who he is, his family. It's tremendous. He played his tail off tonight, and nobody hurts more than he does. And then Julian, this is somebody who hasn't, played a lot of football. It's his first year of playing, and he competes. He works at it in the meeting room. What he does in terms of his preparation, what we put on his plate, and getting us in and out of plays, protection checks. This guy here has got a very, very bright future ahead of him. I think Julian has a chance to be as good as he wants to be. Now he's got to learn from this, and that's a big part of playing quarterback. When you look at a lot of the guys who have success at the highest levels of college football, they have a lot of games under their belt, and Julian's got this now this season to learn from and grow from, and he's going to come back even stronger next year.
Almost out of time. Have one more question here on the extreme right.
Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Huddle. Ryan, when was the decision made to go with the silent count in this game?
Right from the jump.
Yeah. And you could tell that it was going to be that kind of crowd?
Yeah. I mean, indoors here, we've played here before, and it doesn't take a lot to really echo inside here, and so we felt like that was the right thing to do.
Okay, Coach, Caleb, and Julian, thank you for coming. I have a list of